Hello all, and welcome to this wonderful museum. I am Connor, and I will be your tour guide for this evening. I'm proud to give you a small introduction of all things Paul Revere, who is a fascinating American who lived throughout the Revolutionary War and served as a messenger and a silversmith. Please remain silent so that others can enjoy the many other wonderful viewings in this museum. And please save all questions until the end of the tour. Shall we begin? Paul Revere was born in 1734 to Apollo de Revere, a French Huguenot who moved from France and married his wife, Deborah Hitchborn Revere. Paul Revere was the third of 12 children. At an early age, Paul Revere was apprenticed under his father in the ways of metalsmithing and smelting. As they adapted to colonial life, they changed their last name from the French spelling to the British spelling, Revere. When Revere's father died in 1754, he was left as head of the family. He used his metalworking skills in the family silver shop. This fine piece of silver was just a mere crumb of the feast of wonderful bowls, cups, pitchers, and other dishes he could create. He was also an incredible engraver, using his artistic side to cut images into the same pieces of silver. He sold these items to the higher, richer class in society, such as high-ranking British soldiers. But tensions rose with the Redcoats, and Revere began to shut his services off from them. The Stamp Act they enforced made him pay for all official documents that he had, like the business deals he would conduct, and this really ticked him off. But as if this wasn't enough, Revere actually had to experience the actual occurrence of the Boston Massacre. In a fit of rage, he engraved a bit exaggerated engraving of the Redcoats firing on command of their leader into the innocent crowd, killing more people than were actually killed. All of this is kept in perhaps one of the museum's most prized possessions, Revere's actual journal that he kept throughout the Revolutionary War. In it, he gives very detailed renditions of the many journeys he had as a messenger, like the Midnight Ride that he was so famous for. Soon after the infamous picture went public in the newspapers, Revere was admitted into the Sons of Liberty, a rebellious group of Americans who wanted nothing more but their independence from Britain. He served as a watchman for them, located in his silver shop, where he could easily keep an eye on the British and their ships. Soon after, Revere saw some suspicious activity with the regulars and their ships. In alarm, he went and took a trip to Charlestown across the river, where he set up a warning system in case the British decided to go and seize the legal arsenal of weapons located in Lexington and Concord, not far from Charleston. The warning was that if the British were coming around the Charles River, Revere would hang one lantern in the Old North Church. And if they were coming across the Charles River on boats, he would hang two of them. This lantern, though it is not the exact one that Revere used, is a well-preserved timepiece, almost identical to it. The British began to make their move at around 10 o'clock, following this route. Revere reported to two of his fellow Sons of Liberty that were with him in Boston. Their names were Joseph Warren and Benjamin Church. They quickly sent a young cobbler named William Dawes as a messenger to Lexington and Concord, going around the Charles River. This way, that would give Lexington and Concord enough time to get ready for war and to hide all the spare weapons they could. They then sent Revere to the Old North Church to hang the tomb lanterns. Then he went across the river and took this route as insurance in case Dawes was caught. Another interesting artifact from this time period is this petticoat. Don't worry, it's not mine. You see, when Revere was crossing the Charles River, he had to be as quiet as possible. Why, you may ask? Well, you see, the British were in the same waters, and any sound would be a sure giveaway of their location, and then they'd be arrested. This is where the mission almost failed. To cross the river without any sound, you had to put rags around the oars so it would muffle the sound. But Revere had none. Luckily for him, he met a boatman who, instead of rags, used this very petticoat to wrap around the oars and travel across the river. The fabric on it was just thick enough to make it all the way across the river without any detection from the British. These horseshoes are the very horseshoes of Paul Revere's horse on his most famous of rides. The horse was often referred to as Brown Beauty, but its name was never really mentioned, as the horse was just a borrow from someone he met once he hit the Charleston River bank. Almost as soon as he got his horse, he was almost captured by two patrolling redcoat grenadiers, and after he narrowly escaped, he made it back to where Dawes and him were supposed to meet up. Together, they set out from Lexington to Concord, only 5 miles away, with a new companion, a man by the name of Dr. Samuel Prescott, who lived in Concord and wanted to help them on their journey. The three men made it halfway to Concord from Lexington when they came across a British roadblock manned by regulars. Though Revere and Dawes were captured, the regulars failed to catch Dr. Prescott. Prescott continued his ride to warn Lexington and Concord, and they began preparing for battle. Back at the roadblock, the British soldiers were interrogating Revere as another group of soldiers marched by into Concord. Later, the first shots of war were heard, the shot heard around the world. The shot frightened the British, and they released Revere, who immediately booked it into Lexington to help John Hancock and Samuel Adams, two of the main leaders of the Sons of Liberty, into hiding in the countryside. As they were almost at their final destination, the countryside, Hancock remembered that he'd forgotten some papers in a Lexington tavern. Revere was sent to go get them. Not soon after, Revere came back with the papers in hand. Another mission success. The papers were supposedly destroyed out of secrecy and national security, but as you can see, I have them right here, still stamped and never opens. And there you have it, a brief tour and history of the collection of Paul Revere. I hope you enjoyed it. I did, I know. And are there any questions at all? Yep, yes, you.
Why did you use the term regulars instead of British soldiers?
Well, back in those days, the people of Massachusetts still thought of themselves as British citizens. Any more?
I have a question.
Yes, you.
Was Paul Revere ever married?
Well, yes, actually. He married a girl named Sarah Orne in 1757, and they had 8 children together. I can take another. Yes.
What did Revere do after the war?
After the war, Revere went back to his silversmithing business and eventually opened up other businesses, such as America's first copper rolling mill in 1803. In 1818, however, he died and left that new business to his sons. Any more? No? Okay. If there are no more questions, please feel free to take a closer look at our artifacts on display. And thanks again. Have a good day.